Welcome to this week's module walkthrough. As usually, you click on course content, scroll down to the most recent module, click on it, and as usually you have an overview. We're going to talk about DNA some more. This time, so we're going to do chapters 10, 11, and 12. They cover more of the biotechnology aspects of DNA. As usually, you can find helpful materials right here. There's one folder here this time that's called assignment materials, and I'll point that out in just a second. The link to the e-text. This time you have a whole lot of links to different information, mostly related to GMOs, because that's really what most of you probably are interested in, with regards to the real life connection of DNA and DNA technology. Um, Here are the mastering course home assignment links. So you just click on here, click on the mastering assignments. Then there's a GMO quiz. This GMO quiz has basically just 3 or 4 essay questions in it. Then we have the DNA isolation board. For that, click here. This is where the assignment materials folder comes in. You can actually isolate DNA from your spit, for example. So, or let's call it saliva, or something else. Go isolate some DNA from your saliva and post a picture of it on this DNA isolation board. I always like to have a little bit of a hands-on uh, kind of thing going on. Um, After you post your DNA, let's think some about the things that we've already talked about. We've talked about vaccinations in one of the previous chapters. We're talking about GMOs this time. And as it turns out that I never thought that biology could be a controversial subject, but apparently it is. So let's talk about some of the questions you may have, some of the things that you would like for somebody to explain to you. Um, some of the things that that you have questions about. Talk about some of the conversations you had. How can you convince somebody? Why do people not vaccinate their children? What's the basis of those opinions? Let's talk about some of those things. Then last but not least, there is a independent project that I want you to do at the end. So it's a PowerPoint of some flavor that I want you to create on anything that you'd like to do. I describe a little bit here what this how what this should entail. Um, Come up with a tentative subject by Monday. If you have some questions about it, there's a form that I've started that you can use to ask your questions, clarifications, whatever you'd like to know about the independent project, and that way I can answer them for everybody rather than um, explaining it to every one of you individually. Um, so right now, all I want you to do is give me a tentative subject for your independent project, and we'll take it from there. The other parts of the course content that you'll see, um, and this is a little bit to help you find resources to answer some of the questions you may have now or later. Um, There's a document how to talk about vaccines. If you have vaccine questions, this is a really good group, the vaccine talk group on Facebook. These are articles about that Facebook group. So if you want to read up on it, I would highly recommend if you have questions about vaccines. I've learned a lot from this group, about the differences between different vaccines, about what the side effects are that you could expect. So it's for anybody. It's not just for pro-vax. It's also for anti-vax. It's a great group to talk about. This group also, this same group that moderates this, they have a number of other groups that they that you can, and they're all private groups. So you have to get become a member, but you can talk about history, things about history, taboo topics, science, and they what all of those groups have in common is that they're all moderated, and they all focus on evidence-based argumentation, and they also moderate very closely, that people aren't lying about, oh, I'm a nurse and I do this, or something like that. So um, check these out if that's something that interests you. And that's it for this week.